What's up, everyone? Welcome to the What's Your Five podcast, the Minisode Part 2. Joining me this week is our gaming host, Joel, and special guest, Megan. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Doing great.
Good deal.
My
Good
hat
deal.
is not cooperating.
If you guys don't know, our minisodes are digestible episodes for our podcast. What's Your Five? Typically, our podcasts run about an hour ish, so it's a good time. But some people don't have as much time, so we have these minisodes that help us get through some topics that some of our viewers like to see being discussed. And because we have our special guest Megan today, we do have a topic that was brought up by Eric in Texas. And the topic was top 5 boss battles. I thought this was a really good topic. And Eric didn't bring any criteria to this, so I just kind of threw it out to Joel and threw it out to Megan and say, you know what? If you guys are down to do this real quick mini-sode and do top 5 boss battles, if you guys have a list, that'd be awesome. And sure enough, they agreed. Thank you guys very much for that. How do you guys feel about it?
I feel good. So mine was I added difficulty to my list. Same criteria as usual. I have to have actually beat the boss. That's a prerequisite. But I also took an interesting viewpoint of how would the boss have been if I did not have internet or a guide.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because a lot of bosses, right? There's like a trick, and you just look it up, and that's it. So I tried to include that in my criteria.
How about you, Megan? Did you have any criteria coming into this list?
No, I mean, it's just whatever was hard boss to me.
Okay, good deal.
Oh, and disclaimer, I do not play, I'm glad Megan's on this call because I'm not a Demon Souls or Blood Omen player. And I know those games are notorious for having hard bosses.
Yeah.
So probably one of those bosses are harder than all 5 of mine. So that's why we have Megan here.
Yeah, good deal. I would have participated in this, but again, I felt with Megan on board and Joel here, I kind of like doing a little bit of moderation here with our special guests. So I'm going to take a step back, but I will have my own list on the What's Your Five website, what'syour5.com. We'll also have these lists posted up in our Twitter and Instagram at what's your _5. If you have any topics like what Eric from Texas mentioned, if you guys have any topics or suggestions that you guys want to be brought up onto the show, please reach out to us again on our social media platforms, but also at topics@what'syour5.com. With that being said, let's just get right to it. So, because the special guest is here, and I am going to moderate, but this time I'm not going to choose Megan this time as first. I'm going to have Joel pick first. So, Joel. Number 5,
unexpected.
Sir. Yes.
Number 5 for me. So I also added criteria how I played the boss at the time. So at the time of first playing.
Okay.
Number 5 for me, M. Bison, Street Fighter 2. I am not a fighting game enthusiast. In fact, I have never actually really owned a joystick at home. So M. Bison was hard as hell. I probably have inner skin scars from playing him on SNES.
Yeah.
But super strong, super aggressive. Aggressiveness was tough with me. He did not let up.
No.
And then a throw took a third of your health bar.
Yes. Consider cheating back in the 90s. Continue.
And as a kid, I didn't even get the concept of a charge attack, so I couldn't use Guile or Blanca. That's already gone.
Right.
So I was only a Ryu or Ken player, and I still couldn't even Shoryuken very good.
Yeah.
So M. Bison was tough as nails. My thumbs were ruined after attempting to beat him and then eventually beating him.
Did you beat him on Super Nintendo or in the arcade? Because I'll give you props if you beat him in arcade.
Super Nintendo. I never played single player Street Fighter on the arcade, but
gotcha.
Number 5, M. Bison, Street Fighter 2, SNES.
Good pick, because you know what? I would have never picked that. Not because it wasn't hard. It's because I would have never thought about that. I'm thinking these brilliant, gallant boss battles from different games, and I'm thinking M. Bison. That's why I had the little reaction I had. So, Megan, who do you have for your number 5 for hardest boss battle?
It's from Half-Life.
Okay.
And now that I think about it, I'm not even sure it is a boss. but if you remember that part where I think you're going into like the blast silo,
Mm-hmm.
and you have the 3 tentacle monsters like
Mm-hmm.
just hacking away at like the sides of this silo, and you're supposed to navigate your way down through it very, very slowly without making any noise, or they would like one-shot you. I struggled so hard with this as like a child. That I think I was like 12 years old when I played Half-Life. It's like
Wow.
the first PC game I ever played,
Wow.
and it was like the scariest shit ever in general.
Was that right? Like very shortly before you go through the teleport for the first time into the new dimension?
I think so. I
I think
think
so.
you're like sneaking through to try to like activate the blast silo to kill the tentacles, and then you go down into the tunnel, and maybe that is where, yeah. Yeah, it took me I just remember dying over and over and over again. That sound it makes when you die, your HUD beeping. Oh my gosh. It was
All right.
awful.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. Good. So tentacles.
And in Bison.
And in Bison. That I can dig it so far. This is really good. Number 4, Joel. Who do you got?
Number 4 for me, maybe 10% of our audience knows this, is Wygarf from Final Fantasy Tactics.
Wygarf?
Wygarf is his name. So there's twofold to this boss. The first one is that he has 2 forms. In the first, you're solo, so you don't have your party members with you, so it's difficult. There's really only one tactic to beat him. Is you spam Tailwind, which gives you more speed, and Focus, which gives you more attack. You spam it over and over and over and over until you have multiple attacks, and then you can have enough turns to beat him and heal at the same time. But what made this boss a kicker is that, remember, this is a PlayStation 1 game. I didn't look this up prior, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe 16 megabyte memory card, Riddle? Or was it 8?
8 meg.
8 meg, 15 slots, something like that.
15 slots. That's correct.
And some games took up multiple.
Yes, correct.
So this was a scene of the game where you have, I think, 3 or 4 battles in a row, and you save in between each one. So, if you're a little conservative with your memory card, you only have 1 save slot per game.
Yep.
And if you do not have these abilities when you fight Wygarf, you are starting over because you cannot beat him. So this got me. This was actually when I convinced my parents to buy me a Game Shark so I could beat him. But I couldn't pass him. I couldn't pass him no matter what I did.
Cheater.
Yeah.
Man, first of all, you have guides. Now you have the Game Shark.
I was a little kid, Riddell, and this is a tough game.
I don't care, man.
And you're soloing, so very specific strategy, save file situation.
Oh my god!
Wygarf number 4.
I'm telling you, man, these kids nowadays, dude. I remember playing back in my day. we would have to leave the Nintendo on because we didn't want to leave our spot before we played the boss. And if you died, and you had to do that stuff all over again. Made you a better player, not Game Sharks or Game Genies. Man, these people, dude. Megan, who do you have for number 4? And please tell me it's not Game Shark.
No, it's a boss in World of Warcraft, actually.
Oh, what is it? Is it Onyxia? Is it Leroy Jenkins?
No. It's Cthulhu.
Cthulhu. Okay.
Cthulhu. Yeah. So in World of Warcraft, vanilla, I guess, time when it came out.
Yep.
They did 40-man raids, so that's getting 40 internet strangers together to get something done. And long story short, this boss basically destroyed guilds because people could not down them. Like top tier guilds could not down this boss because of his mechanics. He's the last boss in this raid AQ, and it's a massive raid.
Right.
So there's a lot of travel just to get from the entrance to where he is.
Right.
And even trying to zone into to engage him, one of his mechanics is that he will shoot out an I-beam that will hit one person and then chain off to anyone within 10 yards of that person.
Ooh.
So if going into this in vanilla WoW, not knowing what to expect from this encounter, gone through everything else and got here, you enter the room and not realize that you need to spread out immediately. He just kills 40 people in one move. You have to start all over again.
So
At the time, it was mathematically impossible from the WoW community to down this boss, and Blizzard actually had to nerf him to
make it more attainable.
To make it killable, yeah. And in classic WoW now, he's a freaking joke. But his I-beam attack will still wipe you in one move if you're not careful.
Wow.
And that's just the very frustrating thing about it today is it just takes one person out of those 40 people.
It takes one Leroy Jenkins to destroy the entire guild. May I ask you then, did you down him before they nerfed him? No. Okay. Just want to make sure. You didn't have a guild that strong to do, huh? No. Okay. Good deal. Good choice. I was thinking there was going to be a lot of different games here. This is definitely something I was not expecting. So, Joel, number 3, who do you got?
Number 3 for me is an optional boss, but a tough one nonetheless. The Valkyrie Queen from God of War.
Ooh,
newest God of War. So,
okay.
Background: if you haven't either fought her or played this game, there's 8. I would say mini bosses throughout the story, Valkyries. Yep. And each one has a very unique skill set. Like you have to memorize their moveset, and they're very strong and very durable. And
right.
I contend they're as tough as the regular story bosses.
Right.
Once you beat all 8, you get the glory of fighting the one who has all of them, all the abilities. Mm-hmm. So she has every attack that the different 8 have. Mm-hmm. And I'm probably lying, but I feel like she has as much health as all of them combined. Mm. So this is like the super war of attrition. You do not that much damage. Mm-hmm. You can't be greedy. One extra swipe with the axe and you're in one of her combos. Mm-hmm. It took me a long time to beat. I did beat her eventually on normal difficulty, but she's tough, and you have to memorize how to block or dodge 8 different attacks. Mm-hmm. You have to do it each time. You can't be greedy, like I said. You can't, when you get out of rage, you can't swing one more time because you're going to get blasted.
Right.
So number 3, Valkyrie Queen, God of War. I think she's a gold trophy.
Wow. Very interesting. Megan, do you have any thoughts on this at all?
I mean, that one is on my list somewhere.
Somewhere?
Yep. Somewhere in the top 3.
Gotcha. All right, Megan. So we are down now to number 3 for you. Who do you got?
Well, I don't know now if you will know this boss, but it's from this game Neo.
Oh.
Like a Dark Souls-y kind of game.
Yep. Mm-hmm,
which I am admittedly horrible at. I'm not good at them.
Right.
And I feel like Neo is kind of on the easier spectrum of those types of games.
Okay.
So I've actually able to finish the first one and halfway through the second one. It's easier because for the most part, the bosses I could get after 1 or 2 attempts. But there was this one boss, just like an ice boss.
Do you remember the name of this boss?
It was Yuki Onna, I believe. And she was just so quick.
Yep.
And had so many different abilities that all I could do was essentially just fight her over and over and over again until I could understand what her movesets were.
Which is a lot of the attrition. That's like the name of the game for all these Neos, Bloodborns, Demon Souls type of games, right? It's all about like rinse and repeat until you finally get the right, pattern going. Which, I mean, to some people that's really fun. Me being a person of repetition would be fun for me at some point, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. For those type of games, I'm like, it's too much for me. Joel, have you played any of these games, or have you played any of the Neos, or?
The closest one, and I don't even think it counts. It's just the style of that kind of game was the latest Star Wars game, Fallen Order, I believe it's called.
Is that the one with the new Jedi and the whole like? Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And man, I'm about to out myself to all these viewers. I did dial the difficulty back because normal was too difficult for me.
Did you also get a Game Shark while you were at it?
No, not this time.
Oh man. Sorry, I couldn't believe that you had to get a Game Shark to beat a boss.
Kid, man.
I don't know. I'm sorry, man. I'm telling you, it's just to me, I mean, having a Game Shark, Game Genie is fun to like mess around with stuff, or okay, I'll give you an example. Having one of those is really great when you're playing like Battletoads or something on Nintendo, where like it's damn near impossible to beat it with just how many lives? Like 2 lives, right? Like, okay, I get that part, but come on, man.
All right, Rodell, you play tactics. Get to Wygarth. Don't read the guide. And
Okay.
let me know how it goes.
All right. I will do this throughout our friendship in life, and I'll let you know how that goes without a guide, and I'll see. Number 4. I'm sorry, not number 4. I'm totally screwed up. Number 2. What do you have, Joel?
Number 2. This one's probably I think if you Google any like top boss lists, this is near the top or near somewhere there. It's going to be Emerald Weapon, Final Fantasy 7.
Ooh, yeah.
So my preface was if you didn't have a guide, I think this boss is impossible if you don't have a guide.
Yes.
1 million HP,
Yep.
20-minute time limit, brutal counterattacks, massive damage. The game's over 20 years old, so now there's a random ass item you have to find. You get exchanging for underwater materia to up the limit.
Yep.
There's some very easy strategies where you have multiple mine materias, and after that point, it's whatever you want to do. You can do counterattack with limit breaks. You can do Knights of the Round, whatever you really want to do, right?
Right.
But the reason why it's still up there for me and all the way at number 2 is that any of these strategies require a lot of grinding. You gotta master the mime to make it reproduce. Don't ask me how that happens. I don't know. And then you gotta do it again if you want 3, and then you have to max out your characters.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work to even go with an easy strategy.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how people would do it without a guide, because again, you have to find a random item that you've exchanged for a materia to get rid of the time limit. So even if you're trying to play this straight up, you still only have 20 minutes to do it.
That's insane. Yeah. And what Knights of the Round was like a 5-minute summon.
And it took a lot of MP.
Yep.
Obviously you mime it so you don't have to use the MP.
Right.
But it still takes long, right? And and if you want to use it 5 times, guess what? You got to master it. You have to level up that materia. So a lot of grinding.
Yep.
Now it's probably all the tricks are unveiled. I saw the source code for the boss the other day, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
But Emerald Weapon, number 2.
Gotcha. Megan, did you fight Emerald Weapon in your Final Fantasy days?
No. I usually am not the one to go after like the extra hard stuff.
Oh, okay,
unless like it doesn't involve all the grinding.
No, I agree. Yeah, like I said, I like to. I don't want to rush through a game to beat it, but I'd like to play it at the pace I'd like to play it. And if it's optional, sure, but I'm not gonna go look for it like Emerald Weapon, Ruby Weapon, any of that stuff, unless they give me some badass weapon or spell or whatever, then I'll go ahead and do it. But if it's just for bragging rights, like, hey, look guys, I beat Emerald Weapon, because there were people in high school, they're like, oh dude, I beat Ruby Weapon. I'm like, congratulations. I don't know. So I don't know. That was my thing. Number 2, Megan, what do you got?
I have Sephiroth from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh.
One or 2?
1.
Yes, that was tough. That was actually a really tough battle. I remember playing that. That was actually it was fun. It was just hard as hell, but yeah, it was.
Yeah, and I don't even think I attempted it in 2, but yes, the first one just over and over and over and over again, just a little bit closer every time. And it was just like principle that I had to beat him.
Right. Wait, what? Do you remember if there was any special drop that you get from him when you beat him? Or is it just, again, one of those bragging rights, like I did it?
I know in 2 you get a Keyblade.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think back to 1.
2 was by the way, for those of you that have ever played Kingdom Hearts, 2 was amazing. That's when the series ended for me. Everything else after Kingdom Hearts, after that, 23 and a third, 1/2 in many stories, F that. Kingdom Hearts 3 doesn't exist. That's it. Like, Kingdom Hearts 2 was great. After that, everything else is just garbage after that.
Did you try 3?
Oh yeah, no, I tried 3. Oh, 3 was horrible. Absolutely disgusting. What was our favorite lines, Megan? Sora, Donald, Goofy.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, the voice acting was just as bad as Final Fantasy X, if not worse. It was just there was no synergy between like the characters or anything like that. It was just so bad. All right. Honorable mentions, real quick. What do we got? Do you have any, do we have any honorable mentions that we guys want to bring out before number one? Because it looks like we're getting close there.
My honorable mention, again, going along the theme of not having a guide, Psycho Mantis.
Ooh, yeah.
That's right. He is possible to beat without the controller trick, but it's extremely difficult. He dodges almost every bullet you throw. I think you have to do hand-to-hand combat with him to beat him, but at the same time, you're crawling under the books and I think they're picture frames that go across the screen.
Yep.
And if you play him straight up, that's a tough one.
Did you actually beat him without switching controllers?
No, that's why
I was about to say. I was like, dang, dude. Like, I'll take back all the Game Shark stuff I've ever said to you. But Megan, do you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, sure. Basically, any Rainbow Road Mario Kart.
Joel.
So good,
by the way, Joel is our resident Mario Kart expert. Joel,
no, I love Mario Kart courses.
Yeah,
because so my whole thing in a Mario Kart game is don't hit the walls. That's like that's how you move fast.
Yeah. So
I did do my best to do that. So I just love watching my competitors tumble off the screen.
They're huge cheaters. Joel, what's your number one, man?
Okay, PSA listeners, we do not compare lists prior to our recording.
Yep.
Number one for me was Sephiroth from Kingdom Hearts 1.
Wow.
I asked Megan a distinction between Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 because I think he's tough in both games.
Right. But
the problem for 1 is, if you guys remember, the Coliseum's a lot smaller in 1, so there's a really limited space.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys also remember, and I was reminded of this when I played the PS3 release of Kingdom Hearts 1.
Mm-hmm.
The controls in Kingdom Hearts 1 are bad.
Awful.
They are very unresponsive.
Awful.
You dodge one way, you actually go like an opposite way.
Yep.
And then the attack buttons are not responsive. So this, to me, it kind of has a combination of my 3 and 2 of the Valkyrie Queen, where you have to be precise and you have to dodge correctly, you have to block correctly, you have to attack at the right time with bad controls.
Mm-hmm.
And Emerald Weapon, you have to have the right loadout. You have to have a crap ton of elixirs.
Yep.
I was maxed out at level 100 when I beat him. I had to. I couldn't beat him, so I went to grind.
Yep.
You have to use Super Glide. You have to spam Strike Raid. To me, there's no other way.
Yep.
So the combination of those two, don't have a guide. Good luck. He's tough.
Yeah.
He's my number one difficult boss battle. I have a lot of optionals on my list, I noticed, but he's a tough one.
No, it's your list, right? I mean, it's your list.
Tougher than the FF7 boss battle for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, but the FF7 boss battle for Sephiroth wasn't nearly as bad as I know the Kingdom Hearts one was definitely a lot tougher than most, especially with all the all the stuff that you mentioned, which is controls, and patterns and all that stuff. Plus the Coliseum was super duper tiny, like expense, so it was just very difficult. Megan, what do you got for number one?
My number one is actually the Valkyrie Queen.
We do not compare notes prior to the recording.
We did not compare notes at all. Wow.
And
okay.
It's just my number one because I couldn't beat her.
You couldn't beat her?
I couldn't beat her. No,
wow.
I took my time with the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really like the last thing I needed to do. And she was very difficult, so I couldn't beat her in like the first couple of tries. I got frustrated and I stopped playing. Forget it. And came back to it. And of course, I had forgotten all of the movesets of all of the Valkyries. It was literally impossible for me to make any progress. So I was like, you know what? Maybe one day I'll just replay this game.
Right. Wow. All right. I could never get past, I think it was the first 2 hours of God of War. It got me sick to the point where I just couldn't play it anymore. It just was terrible. But yeah, good list, guys. I appreciate you guys' time doing this. Again, if you guys have any topics you guys would like to discuss, please email them to us at topics@whatsyour5.com or reach out to us on Twitter or Instagram at whatsyour_5. Again, thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and stay tuned for more giveaways and episodes. My name is Rodell. That's Joel. That's Megan. Thank you guys very much for watching. Have a good night.
See you, everyone.
See ya.
Good night.